In just the last 24 hours, the long-simmering conflict between the US and Iran has absolutely boiled over. What looked like a regional fight has suddenly exploded into a global shadow war, with brand new players and terrifyingly high stakes. To really get what's going on, how a smaller nation is giving a superpower this much trouble, we need to dig in.
Now this is a chilling statement. And it's not just some kind of poetic exaggeration. It's a very literal, very stark description of what's just happened on the ground. But what does that even mean, to gouge out America's eyes in a war today?
This is the whole story right here. The United States has 8 of its most advanced radar systems in the region. They're called THAAD. You can think of them as the military's eyes, seeing missile threats from hundreds of miles away. Well, in the last few days, Iran has destroyed 4 of them. That's half of the entire U.S. early warning network in the Middle East, gone.
Which leads to the one question everybody is asking. How? How is a country that's been crushed by sanctions for years pulling off these kinds of precise, devastating attacks against the most powerful military in the world? Well, the answer is a strategy that is as brilliant as it is terrifying.
See, Iran knows it can't win a head-to-head conventional war. They're not trying to take over land or anything like that. No, they're playing a totally different game, a modern-day David versus Goliath.
It's a strategy they call victory denial, and the logic is actually pretty simple. They know they can't land a knockout punch on a heavyweight champ like the US, but they can drag the fight out. They can make it a long, bloody 15-round war that just wears the champ down, making it impossible for them to actually win. The goal is to make the cost of victory so high that the superpower eventually just gives up and goes home.
And it all breaks down into 3 pretty clear steps. Step 1, blind your enemy. Take out their eyes and ears, those THAAD radars we just talked about. Step 2, break up their team. Go to the U.S. allies in the Gulf and offer them a deal. Stop letting America use your bases to attack us, and our missiles will stop falling on you. And step 3, the big one, bleed them dry. Launch wave after wave of cheap drones and missiles, forcing the U.S. to burn through its multi-million-dollar interceptors to shoot down every single one.
But that brings us right back to the how. To hit these moving, protected targets, you need absolutely perfect, real-time intelligence. We're talking about knowing the exact coordinates of U.S. assets, even down to the hotels where CIA officers are staying. That kind of intel is incredibly hard to get. So where's it coming from?
And this, right here, is the moment this conflict officially goes global. Because Iran, well, they're not doing this alone. There are some major world powers moving their pieces on the board, deep in the shadows.
The first, and maybe the most aggressive, shadow player is Russia. And we're not talking about a little quiet support. We're talking about a deep, strategic partnership that's been building for years.
Russia is apparently all in. They're allegedly the ones feeding Iran the real-time satellite intelligence to guide those missiles. They're helping with military strategy, and for Putin, the payoff is massive. If Iran blocks the Strait of Hormuz, global oil prices spike, which is great for Russia's economy. And, maybe most importantly, an America stuck in a Middle East quagmire is an America that can't focus on the war in Ukraine.
But Russia isn't the only superpower in this shadow alliance. There's a second, and maybe even more powerful player, one that really prefers to operate from the background: China.
China's role is quieter, but you could argue it's even more critical. They're supplying essential parts for Iran's missiles and rockets. They're providing intel from their own satellite network. But their real trump card is economic. Not only does China buy 80% of Iran's oil, which basically keeps Iran's economy alive, but they also control the world's supply of a metal called gallium. And what's gallium used for? Building the exact kind of advanced U.S. radars that Iran just blew up. Talk about leverage.
All of this outside help fuels the real engine of Iran's strategy: economic warfare. It's a simple, brutal math problem. Iran throws swarms of cheap drones and missiles, and the U.S. has to use its incredibly expensive, top-of-the-line interceptors to stop every single one.
And when you actually look at the production numbers, it is jaw-dropping. Iran can crank out something like 100 ballistic missiles every month. The U.S., on the other hand, is reportedly only producing about 7 interceptors a month. You don't need a PhD in math to see that those numbers just don't work for the United States. It's a war of attrition, and right now, the U.S. is on the losing end of that equation.
But this web of alliances is about to get even weirder. Just when you think you've got a handle on who's on which side, a completely unexpected country enters the picture, and they have a direct line to this fight.
In a geopolitical twist that you literally could not make up, the United States has gone to an unlikely ally and asked for military help, Ukraine.
So why Ukraine? Well, because for the last 2 years, Ukrainian soldiers have become the world's leading experts on how to fight and destroy the exact same Iranian-made Shahed drones that Russia has been using against them. So now, Ukraine is sending its own battle-hardened drone hunters to the Middle East to teach the U.S. military how to counter these things on the cheap. It is a bizarre feedback loop where Ukraine's fight against Russia is now helping America fight Russia's ally, Iran.
Okay, so none of this is happening in a bubble. The decisions being made right now in the Middle East are sending massive shockwaves across the entire globe, with some really dangerous consequences. To deal with the fact that it's running out of interceptors, the U.S. has had to make a really tough call: start moving its air defense systems around. And where are they pulling them from? Just two of the most volatile places on Earth: Taiwan and South Korea. And you have to ask yourself, who benefits from that? Who's happy to see Taiwan's defenses get a little weaker, or South Korea become a bit more vulnerable? Well, you can bet that China and North Korea are watching this all unfold with a great deal of interest.
And all of this leads us right back to the White House, where the U.S. president is now stuck in a strategic trap with no obvious way out.
For starters, there is massive pressure at home. The latest polling shows that a huge majority of Americans, 60%, are against any kind of ground invasion of Iran. Only 12% support it. There is just zero appetite for another long, drawn-out war in the Middle East. So this leaves the president with two terrible options. Option A: escalate. Launch a ground invasion, risk thousands of American lives, and go against the will of the public. Or Option B: back down. Pull forces out, admit defeat, and suffer a humiliating strategic blow that tells every U.S. rival around the world that America can be beaten. It is a political and military checkmate.
Which really leaves us with one last, massive, unsettling question. As we sit here and watch these global superpowers use entire countries like chess pieces, trading assets from Ukraine to Taiwan to the Middle East, you have to wonder if this is bigger than just one conflict. Are we witnessing the chaotic and violent end of the world order we've known and the birth of something else entirely?